Welcome to another episode of the Talent Lab. I am your host, Enrique Washington. Today's discussion will focus on creating a great place to work and why good culture matters. Joining me in the lab today are two very special guests from the awesome company of Superfeet Worldwide. They are LaVon Olson, the Vice President of People, Values, and Culture, and Scott Donor, the CEO and Board Chairman. LaVon and Scott, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's start by giving our listeners a little bit of background about Superfeet and your business.
Superfeet sells aftermarket insoles through primarily specialty sports outlets, running stores, outdoor stores, hockey stores, anything that is focused on specialty sports. That's our primary business. Actually, it's our only business so far. We do it in United States, Canada, and some 33 other countries across the world.
Well, we've been in business for 37 years, and we're located in Ferndale, Washington, which is about 90 minutes north of Seattle. And we also have subsidiaries in White Rock, British Columbia, and Edinburgh, Scotland, and we have employees in 25 states and 4 countries.
Thank you for that background. Let's talk a little bit about each of your roles in the business because, obviously, Scott is the CEO and chairman. You have a big responsibility, and LaVon, really preserving this culture, sort of falls to you. So help our listeners understand each of your roles in the organization.
Well, my current role is more of chairman of the board. We've hired a completely new management team here over the last year or so, and their job is to take the business on a day-to-day basis into the future. My job right now is just to help them wherever I can with probably issues of the past more than the future. My job prior to that for the 23 years was more involved on a day-to-day basis in growing the business.
And LaVon, what's your role in the organization?
Well, I oversee our People, Value, and Culture Department, which is traditionally known as Human Resources. We do that a little bit differently here, so it allows me a little bit different title.
And your title, it's very unique. I've seen VP of People, I've seen VP of Culture. Sort of talk a little bit about where that title came from.
Well, it was the brainchild of Mr. Donor here. Ultimately, what he said one day was that if people, values, and culture are our most important assets, that we would do the most that we could to preserve and grow each of those. What Scott's idea was to allow our department to do things differently. Typically, HR is focused on paper and compliance, which we are. We still do that part of the HR world, but we are in service of our people, so we are allowed to do things a little bit differently. We are more connected and supportive and caring of our people than most companies allow their HR departments to be.
Gotcha, and I'm pretty fortunate in the fact that I've had a chance to intimately experience a Superfeet culture. But for our listeners, can you describe the Superfeet culture?
That's a little tough, but I think the best way to describe it is a culture of caring. And the company, the management team, we care literally for everybody, and we know everybody cares about the company that works here. We also care for our vendors, and we care for our customers and our consumers. We do a lot outside the business to put back into the community, in many communities, but primarily our number one responsibility is to take good care of the people who work here, giving them the opportunity to take good care of us and take good care of the company. We have some things, that we go by, which is to be a positive influence on all the people that we touch. That's one of the parts of our written mission statement. There's just a whole lot of ways that takes place.
I've been asked to articulate our culture many times, and I'm not very good at it. I'm not sure if it's because I'm not quite eloquent enough or if you just can't describe it to somebody who's not lived it. And so it's really something that you feel within our organization. There is an energy here that you don't usually have in business. Our handbook is essentially a single sentence, and it is do the right thing. And so when you walk around Superfeet and you try to evaluate the culture, it's always reflective of doing the right thing. And so that's being kind to the people that you work with. It's being kind to the community that you live in. It's doing business in a way that puts people before profit. But how do you sum that up in a culture? Is, I would suppose, that you can feel how much people care about each other here. We're a fun place to work. We give back to our community, like Scott says. But there's just the essence of living without rules and policies, because we hire people at a higher level. Therefore, we can have an organization where it's not punitive and strict, and that we can manage our people on the good side of things.
Right. So I want to follow up on something you said. You talk about a culture of caring, and that could be misinterpreted, because at the same time, what I experience there is you expect a certain level of performance. And how do you balance that in making sure that, people at Superfeet Worldwide know you care, but they also are being held to a standard to perform at a high level?
Well, we communicate that. The whole hiring process is one that communicates that we have pretty high expectations, but it's more of a high expectation of how people go about doing their job than some unrealistic concept of everybody being a superstar. We're here as a team, and we work as a team. We're regular human beings. We make the regular amount of mistakes. But the people who really settle in here are people who understand that they have responsibility to come to work and literally live at a higher level, meaning they don't need a lot of supervision. We don't need a lot of mid-management rule keepers. See, the concept of not having a lot of rules is the elimination of rule keepers.
And I would agree with Scott in regards to it starts at the recruiting level. We purposely hire people that have already accepted a core value that we live by. I mean, before they ever met us, they have core values that agree with what we have here at Superfeet. So we start at the recruiting level. We are very purposeful with making sure that they're a cultural fit. But when we talk about the day-to-day employment, we talk about a work-life balance. And it is Superfeet's aspiration that people have balance in their lives. And so we create a work environment that allows for that. We are caring about their families. Therefore, we will often let them put the family before work on a day where the pendulum of the demand of family comes first.
We also don't hesitate very long if we find that we don't have the right mix. We make a hiring mistake. The very best thing we can do is remedy that situation as quickly as possible. But even in doing that, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And we strive very hard to be very fair, very straightforward, and also help them move on to something that's a better fit for them.
So at Superfeet, why is culture so important to you and your business?
I grew up, I had to go to work, and I went to work, and I ended up running another business. By the time I was 30, that dealt with a lot of very big companies in the United States, and I was just simply disappointed, sometimes aghast, at the way businesses ran their businesses and treated their people. My question really in my own heart was, is this the way you have to be in order to be a successful business? Is this really have to be a dog-eat-dog world? Does it have to be, money first and people second? It just didn't seem like, there's no question in my mind that it was wrong, but the question in my mind was, will our national culture allow us to operate a business in a different way? And so when I had the opportunity to begin at Superfeet, and we began very small, we only had 4 or 5 employees when I started. My goal was to try to see if I could build a business based on a much higher integrity level, based on some principles of life, like treating other people the way I'd like to be treated, based on honesty, based on caring, and still be a successful business. And I didn't know if I was going to be successful, but turns out you can do that.